Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us on the Midday Show live on ECWA Television Africa. My name is Magdalene Azal, and yes, on the Midday Show, we get to educate you on the different countries, different regions, and what they do on a daily basis. And today we just touched down Greece, of course, and this is a country that has 6,000 islands, with Greece the biggest. Of course, I am sure you're anxious. You're just waiting for us to start downloading what we have. And Sele, of course, is in the studio with me to do that. Sele, how far now?
Yeah, great. It's great to be in Greece.
We just touched down, and then how is the weather treating you
Actually, the weather is cool, it's calm, It's good to be in Greece,
But I thought the weather was hot, actually.
Well, it's not really that hot since we're actually looking at the fact that it's winter, summer, so we're heading towards summer.
Smile. So. Look at the way you're so serious about it. Of course, we are live on Facebook, please. So send in your contributions, send in your comments telling us what you know about Greece and the Greeks. And Sela, what do you know about Greek people?
Well, so far, so good. I mean, just like you said, we've touched on Greece, and Greece is a very great country. I love the fact that the country is actually southern part of Europe, so it's interesting to actually leave Africa and actually have a feel of what southern Europe look like. And I love their population.
Talking about Africa, look at the way you're all
I have to, show where I'm coming from so that the people will get to ask questions.
You Africans, eh?
We love ourselves, so we have to show ourselves identity.
Sorry for stopping.
Yeah, it's okay. And the fact that their population, I love it. Unlike where I'm coming from, Nigeria, where we have over 200 million, right here is just a little over 10.5 million. So you could tell that the fact that the country is quite big, but then the population of people in the country is quite manageable. So you get to have a feel of the environment, just like you said, with the over 6,000 islands that we have there. I mean, there's so much to feed my eyes on, so much to walk around, knowing the fact that even the country is actually quite filled with mountains, and I love hiking. Mountains and all that, and so I mean it's great to be in Greece, so people will have a feeling about being in mountains. So if you're the type that love hiking, love the peak of the mountains, and love island, going to the beach, enjoying the cool sun on your feet, the very beautiful blue sea water, I mean, Greece is a country for you to visit.
Of course, just for the waka about people. And these people actually love going out. They love hanging out. They love, even though they are family oriented, they love their families, they love, hanging around families, but still yet these people still manage, and then to have time to, go out, have fun, hang around. And even in weekdays, Sele, these people are out for 10, 11 p.m. because of how hot the weather is, and then they are so used to the fact that I can't stay in the house. I have to go out, especially for the men, even though the women, let's go back to the ancient Greek, where the women were not allowed to go out. They were not allowed to vote. They were not allowed to do so many things, They were seen okay, you should be in the house. You can't go anywhere.
They're more like subjects.
And then the men were the ones going out, they can hang out, they can work, they can go to their farms, they can, even go to the barber shop where they get the latest
gist of what is happening.
And then come back and feed their women with all the stories and all. It is, for the women, I don't know how they used to cope, but right now, these people, especially in Sparta, where things are different, the women are, can go out, the women can work, the women can, associate themselves with, the public and all that. And, going back to ancient Greek again, where slaves, were always, almost everywhere, especially the wealthy people, where you will see their houses are having a lot of slaves that, they will take care of their children, do so many house chores in the house and entertain them also. Is it not?
Well, just like you said, it's ancient Greece, so you could actually tell the way the people were behaving back then. Knowing already, even as a wife, you have no say in the house. Basically, it's what you are told to do, you do. So definitely, as a slave, what makes you feel that you have more right than even the wife? in the house,
don't have a right at
you
all.
don't have any right. And even when you're still mentioning about ancient Greece, if you look at even when it goes down to the education back then, even the female kids didn't have the opportunity to be schooled. It was only the male, and mostly by age 7 you're expected to have known mathematics. They love maths a lot in Greece. Math is something very, and that's where all this Pythagoras theory actually came out from. For people that love math, studying of the triangle, I mean, that is where the Pythagoras theory came out from. So you could tell, and then they expected that at age 13, Magdalene is shocked, you should be an adult. 13 of a child that back, I mean, the child should be either in GS1, GS2.
Stella, it will make you, as you're growing, it will just make you know faster. There has to be a way, that they'll definitely make these children know that, okay, you are growing now, so these are the things you need to know. And then by age 13, which seriously the child is still too young, but that is their own belief, that is their culture, and they hold it so dearly.
Very, very dearly. So I think, and you have no right. It's what your father tells you that you're supposed to read, you read. So it's either you're a scientist, you're a philosopher, or you're a mathematician, or you're learning being a mathematician. So you could tell that it's basically what their fathers tell them to do that they end up doing. After all, the woman has no say back then. But right now, I'm happy with the fact that even democracy is actually there, and they brought about democracy. I think that's the best thing Greece have done to us. Looking at the fact that we have one man to one vote. I mean, so you could see that there's so much. If you're going to trace back to certain things we do, even looking at subjects politics, geography, maths, and all the rest, you can see that we have to still go back to Greece. And I'll really tell, we're talking about invention of so many things, talking about architecture, talking about heritage. Greece have very, very rich heritage. Definitely. And I think I love that about them because they have so much to preserve. So for people who are into history, you want to study so much about what has been happening and how things are present. I think the first place to start is even there. If you're going to talk about Christianity too, you still have to go back to Greece. I think there's a place there, Corinth, and we have the Corinthians in the Bible. So you go back to know that back then Corinth is another place in Greece that you could actually. So I feel that before we leave Greece, we should visit Corinth at least and have a touch of where St. Paul was.
I think we'll do that. And then talking about heritage and then preserving their heritage, these people love art. And then most times you see them they have some statues there where people would come and then see what happened in the ancient time. This happened, that happened, and then just people they are being kept there for people to come and see. And then mostly they are being I don't know how to call it, but the original ones are not actually out there. They just have a newly made ones, for people to just come and see, and then have this kind of idea on what happened then, and then the history. Their history is just so beautiful. And then talking about art again, when you go to the theater, those people actually are the originators of film. They just act. They act so well, and their own is not just okay, I want to go and shoot film. No, the king and everyone can be there, and then people can just be brought for them to just act for you to watch and laugh. You mentioned something that really made me, scared about how they can actually have a lion.
It's just for entertainment. You remember you mentioned about Sparta, and then if you should go back in time to the way ancient Greece was, just like say they love entertainment, they love festival, they love anything just sit and relax. And mentioning theater, they love real life event, like where you have a play. In fact, part of the play you can even see a woman being beaten. Let's just have that emotion because they most of their plays have a way of putting that sympathy in you, so they can actually either make you feel that what happened to this person can happen to you. Those are the type of real-time play they have. And so when you're going there back then, when you're going there, you know that as a woman, if you're stubborn, whatever plays being played there, this is what is going to happen to you. Or as a slave, if you make an attempt to either escape or do anything, the lion that just finished eating up that man or eating up that woman, that is the same thing that will happen to you. But then not to talk about being scared about things. I just love the fact that the real time, having a real-time touch of a play. I mean, I love it a lot. I think I prefer the theater to the screen because you it kind of a way like there is no fourth wall blocking you for having a real touch with the people happening there. So it will take you back to enjoying the play and knowing everything. And just like you said, both the high and the mighty, they are all there. So you just go there, have fun. And they have one of the biggest theaters. You're talking about plays. They have one of those biggest theaters. So you want to have a touch of that. I mean, some of the playwriters we had there, you could go back to history like Plato, Socrates, Aristotle, you know, all these people are part of people that are where, well, I say, if you're talking about philosophy, playwriters, poetry, whatsoever. These are people that have actually contributed a lot to the ancient Greece. And I think I just love that about them. Maybe because of the theater background I'm having. So I had, right now, it's making me to have like a real feeling of what it feels like back then in the ancient Greece, you know. And I think it's really interesting.
Yes,
you know.
it is really interesting, you know, having a real feel. It is not just the way you said there's no wall blocking, like it is a real thing and on a real time, you know, you're watching it happen, even though the one I don't really like is the ancient, you know, way of putting someone in a cage and then having a lion, you know, you're struggling with a lion there. If you escape, how can you even escape that?
Well, you can.
But I think some people are actually that strong enough for them, you know, to escape it, or only the grace of God, you know, when the grace of God works in your life, probably, then you now escape it. And let's come back to the real time now, the new Greek people now. To be honest, I really love these people. Okay, let me talk about the ancient Greek. They loved quality food, they love healthy food.
Very healthy.
And then, you know, with the affluence of, I don't know, things changed.
Maybe they left and they learned something bad.
Yeah, they did. Because before, what they loved eating was, you know, vegetables, olives, and then, you know, seafood. Seafood. You know, they really loved it. And then all of a sudden they started eating meat. Like meat now is now like the most part of their food, to the extent that it started developing, you know, they've started developing sicknesses in their bodies like cancer, you know, heart problems, kidney problems, and all those things that is really, really eating them up. But apart from that, these people really, but now I think there are people who still really love eating, you know, the vegetables and then the seafood. But one thing I understand is that what you're used to, you know, when we're growing up, my parents loved giving us tea. To the extent that I said, why is it that we're always taking tea? And then some people, you hear them say, it's pow. Why? But you know, when you're used to something, you'd want change. I think that was what happened. And then it now became a problem for them. But still yet, you still find people who are really, really eating healthy and they're taking care of themselves.
Of course, you know, when you're talking about healthy, no wonder back then they were living longer, because if you look at their life expectancies then, they were living longer. Why? Because of what they're eating. Unlike what they are eating presently now, that's filled with so much junk, and no wonder they have cancer. So I think they need to go back to their meals, since they still, when you're talking about the third highest on olive oil, Greece is there. That's after Italy and Spain. So I think an olive is a very, very healthy oil, and I think something they should go back to. The seafood, octopus and the rest, even though I don't know how to eat that. Maybe we'll learn how to eat all these shellfish and all the rest. Well, but then it's something they should learn.
Maybe you eat that. I will eat what I know.
Everybody should eat what he gives best note for.
Yes. And then, you know, there are young people, you know, ancient Greek, they didn't really love going out. Their people didn't really love going out. They loved their culture. They loved like their way of life, to the extent that they didn't see any need for them to go out, even though they were wealthy, even though they were like, when you talk about education, they had standard education, but still yet, you know, there are some innovative ways of doing things that, you know, they were innovative actually, but you know, definitely there's a growth that has to come, but they were contented with what they had. But coming back to now, the now Greek, the young people are now realizing that, okay, we really need to start going out, understand other people's culture, understand how, you know, the world operates. Because trust me, they were just there. Yeah, they had the internet, they had the Facebook, they had the internet, they had like the television that they could, you know, stream and see what was happening. But them going out was a problem. But now, you know, with the young people going out, you know, traveling, they want to travel and just to discover themselves. And then when they come back, they put all that they have learned into practice, and then it really develops them.
You know, when you're talking about development, I think to some extent, I actually prefer back then when they were not living, because there's so much invention actually happening there. If you're talking about coming up with things.
But Stella, the world is evolving.
No, I understand, but I'm coming from the point of view whereby, okay, with them living, especially where they were hit with crisis, economic, there was no food and all that. And I think at 2008, that was when most of them were leaving because they were looking for greener pasture. Because if you actually look at when you talk about employment, there's not so much employment like that in Green. So maybe that was the reason. But I think the important thing is the fact that they are leaving and they are coming back.
And you know, the good thing is that, most times they say countries that have high rate of crime is because of lack of employment. The young ones are just home, not doing anything, and that is why their minds are towards crimes and all that. But in Greek is actually different.
Very.
There is no so much employment, but still yet they have they go into some little things that they can keep themselves busy. And these people are loving people actually. They love themselves, they love their culture. So they respect each other there. And it's a small place, so I'm sure Sela is my sister, I am Sela's sister, this one is this
Everybody.
one. So, it's more like it's a one family thing. And most of the things these people do there is like a family thing. When they have so many beaches there. When you go to their beaches, where you see so many people and different businesses, you see a beach car driver that drives all through. They even have shifts where somebody is around in the morning, the next in the evening somebody is taking over. And even their restaurants too, you see people selling and then having shifts, because almost all the time you definitely see people there, so they have to entertain people. So you see them, even for the fact that the unemployment is the government a white collar job that most of us wait for. But when you talk about people trying to do something for themselves, definitely you will see so many people in Greek, especially the young ones, doing something for themselves. They can't just sit down and say, okay, I want somebody to do something for me. I should rather, go out and do something. But mostly, what they do there is a family thing. The Greek people love family. You will see the family farm. Everybody is there. And then you will go to the tourist side. The father is a driver, the mother is the cook. The
children are the waitress and all that. It's a family thing. I think they love family a lot, because and it's good to have family, because where you put family first, it teaches you certain courtesy you're supposed to learn to do certain things. And no wonder they're very friendly and loving people. You cannot find yourself in Greece and then you feel left out. They have a way of making you feel you belong to them. And just like you're talking about the fact that unemployment, but darling, this is the unemployment they're talking about. It's not like there is no job. We're talking about out of 4, it's just one person that has a job. So it's not really like there is no job like that. You get, it's because of the center they've given so much to, just like you said, the color job, working for the government. And we know that if you're talking about one of the things that bring money to them so much is tourism, because especially August, where you know that that's the longest holiday, they have lots of tourists coming over to visit them. School is on vacation, and we know how much children are around. The whole place is bustling. If you go to their restaurant, it's quite filled because people are there. You go to certain all those historical places, monuments, you will see lots of people are there, because people just want to have a feel of what was it back then, how was ancient Greece. People heard so much about it, talking about even back then before they accepted Christ, because right now about 80% of them is Orthodox Christian. So you could tell that Christianity have actually entered that country really back then.
Serious one.
Back then, where they had worshiping, I think, several gods and all that. I think they had about, was it 12
Olympians.
12 Olympians, you get. And out of it, that's where we had Athens, which is their capital presently, that came after the god of knowledge, which is the Athena. So you see, it's really, I'm really excited that right now Christianity have entered. So when you find yourself there, there's job for you. So don't say there is unemployment. And just like you said, it's a family business for them. So if you're in the hotel, as the daughter, you be the waitress while your mother is the cook and the father is the driver.
But even though, for most expats, for foreigners actually that go there, it is very difficult for, foreigners to get jobs there, especially because they speak their language there.
That's Greek.
And then the modern Greek. And most times, if you go there, the only time you can have a job, or the only places you can have a job, is either you want to teach English or you want to work at their farm. Because you don't need to communicate. The communication, you can just be doing sign languages now. At least you don't need to understand so much, to do so much things with them. But at least since you can manually work, they will need your strength.
There's modernized farming now, Madali. Don't make it look like as if you go take your hole over there.
But you can still...
Or you can be plugging olives, and processing it for the oil.
Well, yes, but you will still have to work manually. You still have to use your hands. You don't need to be talking to them. And then also, if you can also be a nanny there, because you'll be teaching their children, on some certain things, especially, families that are well-to-do, that would want their children to grow knowing English or understanding English. They can employ you so that you can, groom their children even as they are out, because their mothers too, work now, not like before where the ancient Greek, where you see the women being at home. All they need to do is to take care of the family, take care of, clean everywhere, make sure everywhere is neat. These people are very neat people. Like when you go to their homes, they are very, very neat people. Their husbands can go out, hustle, do other things, and when they are coming back, in their minds, they know all this. They feel, okay, when I am back, I need to see everywhere sparkling, clean, and then my children all tidy, and then the food is ready for me to eat, and then just download the gist of all the things that I've heard or seen in town.
I mean, Greece women are very domestic, so they love being hardworking, and I think the husbands don't have any problem as far as they provide for their families. Their kids are tidy, because basically it's the responsibility of the mother, right, to make sure everything is okay. So, but they're making it, I think I'm happy back then where the woman was more like a subject or an object to her husband, but right now at least the woman have a say back. So I think it's really something to be sure that the family is growing together. Just like you said, the fact that they put family first in everything, that is, even no matter how grown up the kids are after getting married, they still come back home to show you that how much they like staying together, being close. So I think I really love that culture of them. And then somehow, since the kids still live, they get exposed a little bit to know what the outside world have in store, and they can still bring it and develop your family better.
Of course. And then still talking about some of the daily activities of these people, and then the young ones. I'm still going back to the young people. Now they have found a new found love, found job, in photography. They really love photography because they have beautiful nature. They have beautiful things that, they would want, people to see. And back then is, the molding and then the real artwork, but right now it has translated to having them go into photography, snapping pictures to document. And then also for the foreigners who come around, especially at the beach or the tourist sites, most of these people, you see photographers there where they can snap you and then give you what you have, to go back and say, okay, this is what I went, this is where I went, this is what I did. When you talk about the hiking that you said we would go.
Very, very, very.
I don't know. Me, I don't like mountains.
You will love it, though. You will love it.
I think I've tried it once. They had to bring me down.
I think it's all about your... Anyway, you said you tried it, but I think if you put your heart in it, I mean, being in Greece and then planning not to climb Mount Olympus, I mean, you are missing out, because that's the highest mountain in Greece.
I can go to other beautiful places. We can go to the beaches, even though I also don't like water. We can stay by the side and enjoy seeing people, walking around,
So we'll just leave you in Santorini, since it's one of the beautiful places.
Yeah, I think
so we just live in Santorini.
Yes.
And then we'll go for a hiking.
No, you will not leave me there. See, we'll be there together.
I know. I want to hike around, so I will leave you there to enjoy the sweet sand of the beach.
Snap pictures and bring
and then snap pictures, bring it for you to know how it feels like. Even though they are hot balloons, so if you don't want to climb the mountain, they are hot balloons, so you can actually have a field of it from up there.
I'm scared of heights.
Okay. I think you will not enjoy this Greece the way I want you to enjoy it. But anyway.
Do you know I can find a way to enjoy it? Like if you can stay down, you know, you don't have to climb the mountains. We can stay down and enjoy the view.
Yeah.
We can stay down and enjoy the view.
No, I want to have a touch. You know, it's something for you to actually go to all these Asian places and then have a feel that truly I've been here. I mean, I climbed one of the tallest mountains in Greece. Real time. Like, I was one of the tallest mountains there in Greece. I mean, I was in Santorini. I had a trip to Corinth. I mean, I was in Athens, which happens to be they have like about 3.1 million people there, you know. So it's not just about reading about it, but it's about being there too, real time. And then, just like you're saying, back then when they had all the moldings, I mean, you'll be able to have a touch of all the antiques that they have back then. There are lots of beads making and all that, some craft work actually. So
very beautiful decorations
very beautiful
they have in their homes.
Yeah, so you can actually just have something for people. So like you that don't want to go and see all those back then when they're not worshiping God, all those god of Zeus and all those
so
gods.
Why do I need
just
to
go
see
to the
all
cave
those
and
things?
see what it look like?
I don't want to see them, you know. I want something that has a touch of God in it. So I would rather
we want to see how we can take that cave because I don't know why those caves that they are making it look like idolizing it and making it feel like it's something, even though it's something for them to say back then. But I think I'm happy, just like I said.
It's just history for people who were not there, for them to just come and see, especially, and then their children too who were not born at that time. After growing, they will get to know all the things that happened and then give glory to God.
Of course, you know, because if you even look at before they had their independence, I mean, back then where they had all these great Alexander that will help them fight their wars and all that, and when they were finally under the Turkish for like 400 years, I think that was enough for them to know that it's high time you come back to God. And maybe that was when they came back in 1832.
And that was why they got influenced by loving coffee. Sele, there's a part. These people, they really love coffee. I'm just like, you know, it is amazing how you can just meet somebody in Greece, and then what the person would want to offer you is coffee. And you know the funniest thing, with the way these people love coffee, when you go somewhere, you know, like maybe a restaurant, when you go to a restaurant, instead of them to bring a menu to you, already they will just come and ask you how many cups of coffee or what type of cup, because like they know how so many people, like they know how they love coffee.
But the weather is hot, why do they love coffee?
See, Sarah, in that place, have you not seen that there is no time you see somebody without having a cup of coffee? Like, I can take, well, let me not talk about but you know, most people don't really care about, when you love coffee, you wouldn't care about the weather. You wouldn't care if it's afternoon. Sometimes, in fact, it's even when I'm very hot.
You want
inside,
to take something hot?
I want to take coffee to cool me down.
Wow. We need to, maybe you have to join in all those plays in the theater so that you can burn all those, since you love walking around feeling warm. Just join one of those plays.
I know, that's why they have the energy to keep walking around. Those people don't really like staying out, and you know they have the longest working hours there.
True.
They walk a lot. It's because the coffee keeps them strong.
The caffeine alone will definitely keep you walking up and down and keep you. Maybe that's why they actually love walking up and down. Because if you're going to look at their midday and night time, it's very hard for you to differentiate it, because they are working all through this time. So I think the caffeine is really doing its work in their body. That's why
it is really doing its work. And then talking about their daily activities, and then liking to go out too. You know, apart from, you know, them loving their families or hanging out with families, they love also hanging out with their colleagues too. You know, to catch up, talk about businesses, talk about some things that they couldn't finish in the office. They will go out and then talk about those things, just, you know, to have a different area and environment entirely. And then sometimes, Stella, do you know there are days, or have you noticed that there are days when you have something you want to achieve in the office, but, you know, the way things are going, you can't really achieve it. But immediately you go out, sometimes you just be feeling, I'm so tired, I'm too tired to do this thing. But immediately you go out to a different environment, meeting different people, already, you know, your mind will just get refreshed, and then you just want to come back to the project and things will go out, so the things will go out, plan out smoothly. And that is why these people sometimes, instead of just being in the office, they go out with their colleagues to just have a little coffee, even as they discuss, and then have a beautiful project before going back to the office or closing for the day, and then returning to their homes, eating good food, and then actually go out to go and hear all the gossips.
No, it's true. It's true to get the gossip, But when you're talking about the way they mingle with, their colleagues, it's important. That's when you tend to exchange ideas. What can be done better for this particular project? How can we go about things and making sure that things are on ground? If they are planning a vacation for the holidays, or a vacation, or planning just something for the weekend, they love chilling, just like we said. They love relaxing. They don't like stress. And one thing I love is that they are very welcoming to strangers or tourists that come over there. They have they will organize a dance because they love costume or anything that has to do with customs, stories, music, something for you. So I think it's something for them to plan ahead, So it's good that you mingle with people, exchange ideas, know what is the politics about, talking about politics. Unlike other countries that are not permitted. I mean, here in Greece, you can actually permitted to air out your views on what you feel about the politics that is happening, the sports that is happening there. It's a free and fair society, and that's why I said talking about democracy came out from there. So airing out your view, what you feel about certain things. Is it the weather that is very hot? Is it the coffee you're going to grab? So you just tend to exchange ideas and make you to be more productive when you go back to work.
Talking about free fair society, I think it would be fair for us to take a break right now, so that we can take a little water, take a little coffee, refresh ourselves, and then come back. Don't you think so? All right, we'll be right back. Just stay tuned. It's still the Midday Show live. You are welcome back. We are still talking about Greece, and actually this country, really, when you talk about family and then your family name, it is really, really important to these people. Most people in this place, they associate, some people really associate with other people because of the kind of family background or family name you have. So if you're in Greek and then you see people on the street, trust me, you need to know who is who, so that you don't mess with anybody, because when you mess with someone that has a real family background, trust me, you're not going to find it funny. So be careful. Even as you're in Greek, Sele, we have to be careful, because these people, their perception about, individuals' reputation and all that is really high. These people love just the way we talk about family, and then their family names. And definitely when you see people that are talking about family name, which means the family name has attained a certain level.
True.
So you have to be careful, talking to people anyhow or messing around with people, even though they are actually soft people, but still yet you have to be careful with what they want and what they don't want. Trust me, no matter how kind a person is, there are some things the person doesn't really take lightly.
I think that's why it's important, before you just begin to behave anyhow, finding yourself in Greece, it's important that you know their norms. It's important that you know their customs. It's important that you know their morals. It's important that you know the culture. What do they stand for at the end of the day? And just like you said, they don't play with their names, their family name. I will not love you playing with my family name, because it's something I hold dearly. Of course, sweetheart. It's a name I hold dearly to. And I think that's the reason why they don't leave the family house. Why? Because family is paramount to them. So you have to maintain that name, because once this generation is done, you hand over to the next generation. Even though we know back then in Greece they do practice the monarchy, but presently now they practice a parliamentary republic, way of practicing government right now. So, but still, then you have to know that you can't take away their traditions from them, because they hold that tradition dearly to them. So when you find yourself in Greece, it's important that you know that, okay, this is the do's and these are the don'ts. What should I do? Where should I go? So I don't cross your boundary in the process of trying to mingle, and then you end up doing the wrong thing.
But another thing, Sele, talking about their shops opening and then closing. Their shops open around 9 a.m. and then closes 2:30. It's not too short for, even though other bigger malls like the malls or supermarkets, they have like they open around 9 a.m. and then close around 9 p.m. But for other small shops or small businesses, why would somebody open around 9 and then close around 2:30? It is too early. But I think it's still, people who are there have the orientation already, so they know that if you go there around 2:30 or after 2:30, you're not going to meet anybody. So people just stock up their houses before that time, or they go out to get some things they would need to get before that time. And then for the people who work, actually would sometimes during the break time, if they have something they want to get from the market, they'll have to leave the office, go there, get before go back to the office, and for them to be able to achieve the day. But it is really, really, to me, it is actually a short time for people who really love hanging out so much. But even though that is just the marketplace where people buy things, the shops actually where people buy things.
But you're talking about the shop, they run several jobs. And by August, definitely, I would love to close my shop, because I know that tourists are around. So I would like to show them places so I could get extra cash as a tour guide. So I think it's one of the reasons why they close their shop by that time. And as a woman, it's expected that you start preparing for whatever your husband will come back to eat. Family is number one to them before any other thing. Well, you just have to get used to it.
It's a full-time job.
Well, it's a full-time job, but then most times these shops are family shops. So it's not like you're working for someone else, most of the shops. So regardless of that, it's already a custom they already have there. Once it's two, so if you're a tourist over there, you should know that if you want to get any bracelet for your loved ones or anything, this is the time they close. So you do whatever you need to do from that time to 2. Okay.
I know that it's a family business, because these people, almost everything is family thing. But trust me, Sele, I still insist that women...
You're coming with your mentality from here. Definitely, you talk this way. If you live there for like the next 3-4 years, you get used to it.
See, Sele, forget it. And that is why, these people actually, the men are actually nice to their women. They are lovable.
Of course.
And then paying them back for all their, their time and then their efforts, they buy them things, they take them like for they have beautiful places, beautiful parks where love birds, and then family people just go out there and then have fun. It is so important that a woman will just go through a lot, and then the man appreciates her by showing kindness and then compassion, and just show me a little that, okay, you appreciate all the efforts that I'm doing. Even though I am not from Greece, but I know that there are men, actually, they do it a lot, and then their women also appreciate the fact that these men appreciate them by doing some special things for them. Trust me, even here in Nigeria, even if it's you that at least you like, people hustle, like women hustle a lot. In fact, I would even rather be in the Greece, because I won't work as hard as I'll be working here.
You never can tell. It's just the environment and the way things have been put in place. And also, I think it's just the system that have been working for them so far. If you're going to talk about Greece, it's a very developed country so far, apart from the fact that the taxes are very high over there. So when you're going there, even though you're earning a particular amount, you know that you're paying tax in a particular way. But yet, if you look at the way they live their lives over there, you know that they are quite comfortable, and so much have been put in place to make sure they have paid their dues duly.
Trust me, the higher the tax, the higher the pay. See, because most developed countries, definitely you see them that like their taxes there are really high, but you get paid well for you to be able to sort out all this tax, and then it's really okay. You work and get what you are working for, and then at the end of the day sort out your bills.
So I think it's just the system. So eventually, possibly, we will now take whatever we have learned so far and see how can we put that in practice here in Nigeria. I think we have all that it takes over here in the country. And I think it's with time that the men will begin to appreciate the women, also take them. We have men that still do that. You appreciate the women better, and then we're looking up to a time where we also start closing up our shops by 2:30, 3, go have break, enjoy cool time.
There are people that I don't think they will want you to stay that too. There are people who would want, in fact, even if they are getting good money, they would rather stay longer so that they will get better money, at the end of the day.
But with the system, you get used to it, I believe.
There are people who will not want to get used to it. Talking about the Orthodox, you mentioned the longest holiday, which is in August, where, the parents, the children, everyone is around, and then they work at the tourist sites for more monies. And then we'll have to go back to talking about the biggest holiday. That was the longest holiday, but this one is the biggest holiday. That is Easter, during the Easter period, where the Lent season, where they fast, and then there are so many things they don't do. They get to relax, they get to pray to God, and then there are so many traditions they do during that period. Yeah, first is the fasting, and then it gets to the Holy Thursday, where that's during the week to Easter. Holy Thursday, where there are women, boil eggs and then color them in different colors, but mostly red colors, red color where it symbolizes the blood of Jesus. And then there are some foods they don't eat at that period of time. And then another tradition again is definitely going to church, praying to God, and then appreciating him for coming and dying for our sins and all that, you being sober and everything. Those are the type of things they do. But then after every has passed, the jolliment comes also. But then still yet, even as on the day of the Easter, there are things they don't really eat. Yeah, there are things they don't really eat. They are specific on what they eat on that day. But it is just a beautiful ceremony that, like, people travel from different places, just the way we talk about Christmas, where you see people traveling from one state to another for them to celebrate Christmas with their families. You see people traveling to the village, you see people from the village going to towns and all that. In this place, they really travel because of Easter, for them to be with their families, especially for the men who had to travel out of the state or out of the country to find greener pasture. They'll have to come back. Like it's a tradition for them. They will have to come back and then celebrate that very moment with their families.
Yeah, Easter is very key to them in Greece, because if you look at the whole 1 week before the Easter, it's like a holy week. And that's why they do not play with that week. In fact, on the Easter, with all the love of meat that they do, they don't. They go back to eating their seafood, vegetables, and that's why we see egg and all that coming into play. So it's not like they do not love Christmas or they do not celebrate Christmas there. But the importance they give to Easter is much more better than that they give to Christmas, because they believe that we cannot celebrate. There wouldn't have been, of what use is the birth without the death, because the death is what brought salvation and life to us. And so that's why it's important to them that they celebrate Easter very, very well, give it all the attention. Family have to be there, talking about eating of the bread, because they love bread a lot with olive oil. So talking about breaking of the bread and all that, they do that a lot. They are very, very traditional when it comes to, celebrating the Easter over there.
And then I want to go back to the working hour. Now I've seen the parts where, the length of a typical working week in Greece is 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, starting at between 8 a.m., 9 a.m. Greeks do spend more time working, just the way we mentioned, like they spend more time working. They work for like 42 hours per week, compared to the European average of 40.3, but them they like 42 hours, a week, and then which is actually a lot. And then they have part-time jobs now on increase because people want to have other means of getting money. It's not just me going to the office, coming back, and all. They want something that they can say, okay, they want to do. And that is why some of them can, after work, they can go and be. It is very common for you to see a very literate person doing a nanny job there, because if a wealthy family is offering you a good amount of money for you to teach their children English, or for you to teach their children any language they would want, it is worth it. So some of them, take up part-time jobs just for them to fill up the space. And you mentioned, the high tax. So sometimes, for them to be able to meet their bills appropriately, they have to do extra works there.
Yeah, it's important, and that was why I think that was the reason why back in 2008 they left, because they felt they were not getting what they needed. But then with the way things are, even though we know in 2020 almost every part of the country was affected with the COVID and all that, but then we know that it's important for them, actually, just like you said, you want your family to be happy, you want to provide all that your family need, then it's important that you have extra jobs. And if you even look at the way the country made education for their awards, you know that they're trying their best, because public education is free over there. So to some extent, you don't have to get bothered about how your kids will go to school as far as it's a public school, because even their textbooks are being provided free of charge. Everything that the child needs throughout his elementary stage in school down to tertiary institution, before you can start thinking about how to source for extra income. But then looking at that, their textbooks, school fees are being covered. I mean, you have very little to get bothered about.
Yes, I understand that, most times the government, promises all that. But, in some places, let's talk about Greece now. In some places, you will see all the textbooks and all that given to the children for free. But trust me, when you go to the deep rural areas, they find it difficult seeing any textbook. So it is just more like, okay, the government is providing free materials for the public schools, but when you go to other places, you will see that they are suffering. Just the way, going back to their health now, health sector. If you go to the cities, Stella, you will see they have one of the most developed, health centers there, where the wealthy people also go there. And then some people who are not able to afford that kind of places, they go to the public healthcare centers. The public healthcare centers, you can see some of the good ones are so filled up because there are few. If you go there, you see people, it's just filled up with people. And then sometimes you can't even just imagine that somebody is so sick, and then there are like lines to do things, it's frustrating. And then when you go to the rural areas, some of them don't even in fact, they even say they have this thinking of like they have low health care in Greece, because of the kind of when the public places are filled up, the villagers do not have the adequate health centers, and then you see most of them, just the way we talked about, eating wrongly, and then some of them are infected with sicknesses, and you're not able to be to take care of yourself, or even if you go to the hospital, there are so many things that you need to follow, so many lines, so many, like, it is just frustrating. And then that is why they just feel like this healthcare centers or healthcare facilities are actually on a low.
But if you look at Greece, actually, more than half of the population live in the capital. That's Athens. Mm-hmm. More than half of them live there. So you can go to actually the rural area and just find that they're just about 20,000. They're not much. So at a point in time, we know ourselves. You get so kind of a way you leave the rural area, go over to the urban area, upgrade whatever it is, and then you come back, because they believe that the government cannot be everywhere. But then if you look at the statistics of what the government is doing, providing, if we're having more than half of the population living in the capital, then you can actually tell that so much is being done already. So more than half of the population is being, attended to. to some extent, I mean, even though it's not peculiar, I mean, every part of the country at one point or the other, or every part of the nation, go to one country or the other, they have one problem that's peculiar to them at a point in time about the government not covering everything. But to some extent, they try as much as possible. As far as the education is being provided, I mean, which is the bedrock of any society, I mean, Greece government have done so much for themselves, so it's good.
I can see the way you're praising this government too.
I love that country, Greece. I really love the country. They have very rich things. So.
At this point, are you ready to go back to Nigeria?
Maybe.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I do. I love my country. I do.
Oh, you're a patriotic citizen.
Very.
We shall see. All right, so it is actually very, very nice doing this with you. And then, yeah, this is where we will just draw the curtains and then tell our viewers bye-bye. But I don't know if you have anything else to say to them.
Well, nothing much. You just tell them that they should just hold up. Next week, we shall be taking the flight to another great country.
Of course, we shall be taking the flight to another great country. This is the Midday Show live on ECWA Television Africa. Thank you for staying tuned. And yeah, we have other great programs coming your way. So keep watching ECWA Television Africa. We'll see